price finding is a fundamental activity in perfect markets, in the sense that this is a set of activities and interactions between buyers and sellers, negotiations, conversations between stakeholders on both supply and demand results in price finding. And the idea is to find the correct price within that market. Patients are the true initiators of healthcare services, or the demand for healthcare services. But they are not the ones that are directly negotiating with pharmaceutical companies or hospital groups or NHS for access to services. The agents that have taken that responsibility on behalf of patients and the citizenship in general are government agencies and health insurance companies, broadly speaking. So the task for patient organizations is to engage these agents in healthcare markets that are representing the interests of the citizens and the patients, to ask them whether they are addressing the key demands and expectations that patients have. So the process of price finding is the interaction of agents and producers on demand, and then the supply side interacting with each other and finding the right price. In a perfect market, these interactions take place seamlessly, and the market arrives at equilibrium price, and this is a price that is accepted by both buyer and seller. However, in healthcare markets, this idea of price finding is imperfect, is inefficient, and it suggests that some improvements may be needed in the future. I think it would be critical to improve the strength of the patient voice. The first step to do that is education. Understand how markets fundamentally function and where patient organizations would need to articulate with current stakeholders in the market. And then the next step after that is to formally integrate into price negotiation strategies, formally introduce the inclusion of patient organizations into health technology assessment processes, because this can only improve the efficiency of markets. This idea of right price depends on the structure of the market, and by that I mean if there's one single producer of a pharmaceutical that is being produced globally and provided globally, and there's simply no other competitors or generic alternatives or biosimilars that are available, then the structure of the market is very different compared to if you had several different substitutes available for that one particular product. So the price that is right in a monopoly or monopolistic market is very different. It may be right, but it may be unfair. But the market structure will change over a period of time, given movements along the patent period, going through an oligopoly phase until you get to perfect competition, where then the prices reduce because of increased number of alternatives. So this idea of, is it the right price? Yes, it may be right within that the market structure. Would it change? Yes, it would, based on the introduction of a biosimilar in the future. Affordability is a relative question, and it depends on the therapeutic area, and it also depends on the benefits that are associated with the new technology. If the new technology is a breakthrough therapy, it is curative, then the affordability of that is a relative term. The example of Spark Therapeutics and the introduction of a new gene therapy, Luxturna, for a rare form of blindness, a genetic mutation, and this is a curative drug, a gene therapy. It costs $425,000 for a single injection, but based on the outcome studies and the data that we have, is that patients would be able to experience a reversal in their blindness. Is the $850,000 a fair price for a curative treatment that results in an increase in productivity for their patients? And I think yes, it would. In oncology cases, in some instances we've seen in fields in multiple myeloma, breast cancer, chronic lymphocytic leukemia, and many other areas where newer cancer drugs that are being introduced only present a very marginal improvement in progression-free survival or overall survival of maybe 2 months, 3 months, 6 months. And these are marginal improvements compared to the standard of care. So I think an appropriate price for those marginal improvements simply can't be justified.